Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me in the Wonder Woman Marriage WhatsApp group. We're launching this group tonight, and the plan is to, God willing, have this every single day between now and the Shavuot holiday. So we're starting right after the start of Passover and going through Shavuot. Before we get started, I just wanted to begin with a few disclaimers about who this group is for and who this group is not for. So, first of all, this group is not for people who are in any sort of abusive relationship. If you feel as though your relationship is abusive, meaning that there's some sense of control where you feel your spouse or your loved one is trying to control you in some sort of way, or any other type of physical abuse or verbal abuse, then please seek out other help, whether it's calling Jewish Family Service, or you can reach out to my husband, Michael Friedman, who is a licensed professional counselor. He'd be happy to point you in the right direction and how you can get the help that you need. Who this group is for. So this group is intended to be for women who are just looking for something a little bit extra to help in their relationships with their husbands. So whether it is somebody who's been married for 50 years, or maybe we have some newlyweds in this group, or maybe I think that we even have one person in this group who's engaged and isn't even married yet. And that's great. You're starting out, on the right foot. Hopefully through the next, 37 days, I think that we're going to be doing this, you will be able to pick up some really practical tips to be able to enhance your communication with your spouse. We are in this time period right now, as I mentioned, which is the Omer, where we are counting the days between Passover and Shavuot. And this time is really an auspicious time for personal self-development and growth in general. Sometimes I personally feel that if I set a specific goal in a very specific context of my life, I can then really hone in on that and really see actual concrete change during this time, as opposed to having like lofty goals of, oh, I'm just going to be a better person, or I'm going to do more mitzvot. That's hard to actually turn into a reality. So my goal from this group is to really hone in on our relationships with our spouse, and to really see concrete change from that. In terms of why I called it the Wonder Woman Marriage Group. So it's really a double entendre. Number one, right now we're in this time of like COVID-19 where we're home, many of us with kids, many of us working from home, and it can be very overwhelming in terms of trying to be Wonder Woman, trying to do it all, make our spouse happy, our children happy, try to do self-care, try to work if we can from home. And it can be really, really overwhelming. And I'm hearing from the women that I'm speaking to across the country that they are under lots of pressure. There's a lot of darkness and a lot of fear in the world, and relationships are unfortunately crumbling, which is why I felt the need to really take a stance here and do something about it. But the flip side of the Wonder Woman name is, yeah, we actually have the power inside of us to be Wonder Woman. We actually have that, and we can see it throughout the Passover story. I don't want to spend time on that right now, but throughout the Passover story and throughout our history as a Jewish people, the power of a Jewish woman to really transform family life, to really take our inner light and spread that to all who know us, whether it's our friends, our community, and most importantly, our family, our spouse, and our children. And so hopefully, with these practical tools that I'm going to be giving you, you have the ability to really transform yourself into the Wonder Woman that you're meant to be. A little bit about myself, and tonight is going to be like the longest spiel that I'm going to give because I'm just giving a little bit of background here. Every night it is going to be somewhere between like 2 to 5 minutes. I'm going to really try to keep it brief so that this is feasible for you to listen to this every day and really be committed to it. A little bit about myself. I personally have, and I feel like I have to put this out there for you because you're entrusting me to share information with you. So I personally have been married for 12 years now. And when I first got married, I had the most wonderful husband. Many of you know him, and he's just a doll. But when I first got married, there were clear challenges there. I personally am a very type A person. I like all my ducks in a line. I like everything neat and tidy, everything in its place. And my husband is a very creative type. He's a very giving, loving, spiritual soul. But the definitely I would not say type A. So as you can imagine, there are definitely there were some challenges there in the beginning that I really needed to work through and decided to take a stance with that. So I went ahead and I joined my mentor, Sari Yocheved Rigler. She has a program called the Kesher Wife Workshop. For anyone who's looking for something more in depth and another program to commit to, I highly recommend her program. I was part of it for 5 years and it transformed my life, transformed me as a person, transformed my marriage and my home life. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some of the things that I've learned from her. I also was part of Rabbi Aryeh Niven's transformational self-development program for 4 years and learned a whole load of information from him, life-changing information that I'd love to share with you as well, in addition to being a life coach and working with people across the world really for years now, helping women. So I'm hoping that through just the next 37 days, I can really share with you some of those nuggets. Okay, so let's get started with some of the content actually for today. So one of the resources that I'm going to be using is this book by Dr. Mayer Wickler. I don't know if any of you have read this before. I would love to hear your feedback if you want to send me a personal message. I did create this WhatsApp group in a way where just I can post on it because I don't want everybody to be flooded with tons of messages. But I would love, love, love your feedback and your participation over the next 37 days by messaging me individually. And of course, all anonymity will be preserved. This is meant to be also like a group where, you know, like anything, yeah, you could buy a book and you can read it and then put it down and then forget about it. But by committing to this group, you are holding yourself accountable to really making a change, hopefully, and really growing in this area of your marriage and your communication skills over the next 37 days leading up to Shavuot, and hopefully we'll be a different person at that point. So please utilize the chat, send me messages. I would love to hear success stories also. I would love at the end of the week, each week, for me to share anonymously one of your success stories, and we can like cheer each other on and feel that support and that love from the group. So that's my goal. Okay, so I just want to, because I've been speaking for so long already tonight, I just wanted to give you like a little bit of something, at least for today. So here's the question that I want to start off with. First of all, is it better to speak up when you're upset about something? Or is it better to bite your tongue and, you know, be the bigger person, so to speak, and not say anything? So take a moment just to internalize that question. Okay. So there's a common expression, silence is golden, right? So is that a Jewish concept? Is that something that we are meant to be following? So not always. It's not so simple and not so clear cut. So there are certain times where it is praiseworthy to refrain. It is better to wait, maybe to wait for the right moment. And at other times, it is important to speak up, to express our feelings of criticism and disappointment. The key is to know when to do that and how to do that, right? So maybe some of you are hearing this and are like, what? Like, how do we know that to be true, right? So everything, all truth that we have comes from the Torah. If you learn our beautiful Torah, you can see how valuable, it's not just an ancient book, but how it communicates to us every single day in our relationships and how we're meant to be living our lives. So in the Torah, it says, this is in the book of Vayikra and Leviticus, it says, you shall not hate your brother in your heart. Surely you shall rebuke the members of your people, and you shall not bear sin because of him. So we see from this, we shouldn't be holding a grudge. We shouldn't be hating them in our heart, right? But notice the end part of the phrase. It says, you shall not bear sin because of him. So what does that mean? So the Talmud comes and explains on that comment. It says that when it says we shall not bear sin, it means you shouldn't just go ahead and start rebuking him just to get it off your chest. You have to be very careful on how you do that. we can't embarrass somebody in front of others. It says that embarrassing somebody is tantamount to killing someone, right? That would be definitely bearing sin, right? So we have to be very careful in the way that we don't hate them in our heart and that we share the rebuke or the negative feelings or criticism that we may have towards somebody, right? And then the Rashbam, which is a classical commentary on the Torah, comes and adds that through the process of effectively communicating those negative feelings, we can actually come to a place of peace and harmony. So it's not just about, getting it off our chest, but there actually is something positive that can really come from communicating these negative feelings. So once again, the key is, how do we go about doing that? And I'll just leave you with this last bit just to give you a taste of where we're going over the next couple of days. But a few signs that effective communication have broken down. 1, look at the frequency of your arguments. How often are you arguing with your spouse? Is it happening daily? Is it happening several times a day? Is it happening monthly? And take a look at, how satisfied are you with that? Do you want it to be better? Do you want to be arguing less, right? And another thing is there a feeling where either you or your spouse are feeling either underappreciated, misunderstood, or disrespected in some way? If any of those things are happening, there has been a breakdown in communication. Now, it doesn't necessarily always even lead to an argument. A person can hold on to those feelings and can keep them buried deep down and choose to remain silent. But that feeling of alienation and distance can build over time and can really cause lasting damage to the relationship. So couples who are not communicating effectively often are deficient in 4 essential marital communication skills, as explained by Dr. Wickler. So those 4 skills are expressing negative feelings in a constructive way, listening to negative feelings in a non-defensive manner, expressing positive feelings without inhibition, and finally, listening to positive feelings without feelings of awkwardness or needing to dismiss those words of praise. So that's where we're going to be going. I'm so glad that you all have joined me on this journey together. I'm feeling the love already. I'm super excited just even for my own journey and to hear about yours as we go through this together. And please spread the word. If you know other people who you think would benefit from this, please share the link with them. And I hope that they'll join us as well. Thank you so much. And we will continue tomorrow. Have a great night.